Okay.
Another episode of
Vitruvian
Vitruvian Gentlemen.
Vitruvian Gentlemen is
Yeah.
the Vitruvian Gentleman is back with another episode. We tried to figure out what to do. It was a little bit of a struggle for this one.
But you settled on.
We settled on.
Yeah.
You agreed to this. The psychology of art,
Yes.
which, for me, it's not such an alien subject. For you, it is a little bit.
Yeah, a little more, yeah.
Because I have been painting for a long time. And I guess tailoring, you can say, is kind of an artistic endeavor. But I think you're going to bring to the table something that, sort of maybe an outsider's
Right, yeah,
perspective.
I could come from the everyman perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be interesting. So why art? Because it's a very important human endeavor, and since we purport ourselves to be Vitruvian gentlemen, which means we try to encompass the whole lifestyle of a gentleman, art should definitely be a big part of a gentleman's, or at least there should be an awareness of what art. You don't have to be an avid art buyer or even an art
Artist.
You definitely don't have to be an artist, although we'll talk about that. I think everyone has an artistic bend that they should pursue. I'm looking at your mic. I think you should switch it, because if you look at where your mic is, the puck is outside.
Oh, you're right.
So maybe you can switch it around. I think it's an important subject for a gentleman to be aware of, at least. You could ignore all the subjects that we talk about. You can completely ignore all of them and just go on with your life without being aware of it. But I think it's good. If nothing else, studying the history of art will lend itself to studying history of humans, and this way you will be more informed about things that have happened in the past, things from which you can borrow and steal.
When you're thinking about art, are you thinking of just a canvas and paint, or are you also thinking about sculptures? Are you thinking about gardens?
Absolutely. I was going to say, it's not just
Yeah.
the formal artistic mediums and disciplines.
There's
To
bonsai.
me, bonsai. To
Yeah.
me, a baker who makes really good bread is an artist.
Okay.
A chef is an artist.
And we're off.
Yeah, a farmer who has a green thumb and
Yeah.
can make, because they're, how people kill plants in their houses all the time,
Right.
and they're only dealing with one plant, and they just can't they can't get into the groove of being empathizing what the plant needs.
Yeah.
And so this, I think, empathy is a little bit of has a little bit to do with. So what I really want to start with is that I think all of us should find an artistic endeavor, whatever the hell it is, because I think at the end of the day, I think we're here. Our purpose in life is not to work and then die. When I say work, I mean the kind of work that people do nowadays: sit in front of a computer, push buttons,
Yeah.
shuffle papers around in a bank, or
Stuff to pay the bills.
stuff to pay the bills.
Yeah.
So all that kind of stuff to me is that's not the kind of work I'm talking about. That kind of work, I believe everyone should just avoid, because that's a soul crushing work, and we do it all the time. So you're just, speaking of gardens, I think a human soul should be, it is like a plant.
You need to tend to it.
You need to tend to it.
Yeah.
You need to give it what it needs, and each one of us has its own. We are all a unique. I'm going to use the metaphor of plants, because just we're surrounded by them, and also it's a good one.
Yeah, this is a desiccated dead plant between us right now.
It is.
Ironic.
But
yeah.
even
that is aesthetic.
Yeah, we dried it ourselves, and because in the winter time, I could go to the flower market, but they're all factory or whatever farm, like huge farm flowers. At least these I bought at a farmer's market, and they're like, supported a nice little farm upstate New York, or maybe Pennsylvania. And then we dried them, and look, they've been giving us beautiful vibes the whole winter time. And then when the season rolls around, we'll buy some more. Actually, I'm gonna grow these guys right here. When I was arranging these, they started dropping tons of seeds. So I collected all those seeds, and I'm gonna plant them and see what happens. But the soul needs food. It needs to be tended to. And if you don't, if all you're gonna do is that you're just gonna spend your days sitting in front of a computer pushing buttons, or shuffling papers around in an office, you're gonna kill your soul, and you're gonna become one of those humans that's like has dead eyes.
Yeah. As you were speaking, the word imagination just crossed my mind, which is, with those jobs, you don't get chances to express your imagination very often, and so I think art has something to do with that. It's an outlet for your imagination.
Yeah, exercising your individual voice, your take on anything. Let's say if you and I are going to go to a rodeo, we're going to have to wear kind of cowboy outfits.
Yeah.
It's going to be two very different takes on the same theme.
Yeah.
So it makes things interesting when people express themselves, and if you just kill that part of yourself, what do you have left?
Right. I mean, I think something that is really nice is when you get to include your self-expression in your work.
I mean, then they say,
right, then it's not so soul-crushing,
and it's not work anymore.
Right.
It's what do you call things? It's like it's your life.
It's your calling.
It's your calling. It's like you don't even call it work anymore.
Right.
In Russian, the word work, rabota, the root of that word is rab, which is slave.
Oh.
They don't even hide it.
Yeah. Slaving away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They it's just like.
Yeah.
So
it's stuff that you would not choose to do, except that you are forced to.
Yeah, and it goes back to that this is just going to open up a can of worms of.
Yeah, well, we don't have to go down that.
Arthur's conspiracy Latin existence, and I'm just going to say that.
You just get in one sentence.
I'm just going to do one
sentence. And then
sentence.
we'll move on.
Yeah, that it's none of that is by accident. It's engineered. It's a social engineering agenda, and it exists whether you like to believe it or not, and therefore we have to be aware of it and fight it every single day with everything we've got. So yeah, art, you don't have to be an artist, but you should be aware of it. And really what the only part that is the internal one that you should pursue, or you don't need to know the history of who were the greatest impressionists, or who were the greatest tenors in the height of opera, and
Yeah.
doesn't hurt if you want to listen to people or look at paintings of people at the top of their game and see what how they did it. Then yeah, that's how I approach any discipline. I want to know the top players
Right.
in the genre, and then it trickles down from there, because again, whatever we, the social engineers, have given us as the top players, there are layers and layers underneath all the things that we know, under all the bands like Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, and The Who. There are thousands of bands who are just as good, that we will never know because they were not taken in and pushed to the forefront. And that's a whole other endeavor if you really want to be like Crate Digger with the records, or an art nerd.
Yeah.
I'm nerding out on leather jackets right now.
Right.
Because I'm starting to make leather jackets, and that's what I have to start from the beginning. Did you know that Schott, the New York leather company, started by Schott, two brothers?
SCHOTT?
Yes.
Okay.
They made the Perfecto. He named, one of the brothers loved to smoke cigars, and he named the brand Perfecto after his favorite Cuban cigars.
Okay.
The Perfecto jacket, it's up for debate, but supposedly Marlon Brando wore a Perfecto jacket in The Wild One.
Okay.
And that just blew Schott out of the water. Like, they completely became international. But what I was going to say is, Schott, a New York company, was the first one to introduce the zipper into a motorcycle jacket.
Oh.
It's a big innovation. It was the same. The zipper in a pair of pants was also a very big innovation.
Yeah. I generally don't think of buttons on leather jackets when I think of leather jackets. I see zippers.
If it's a pea coat,
yeah,
because there's the motorcycle jacket where you definitely want full tight closure,
full coverage, so that
the wind doesn't get in.
The wind, right?
Yeah. And also, if you're just being held by 3 or 4 buttons, and you get into an accident, and you're like rolling down the asphalt lane,
right?
Those are gonna fly
I'm thinking
off.
of the motorcycle jacket when I think of a leather jacket. When I think pea coat, I'm thinking wool.
Yeah. They did, though, the leather jacket. They did make the coats, the car coat. It all started. This is gonna devolve into God knows what, but
let's go.
The whole thing. Where was I gonna go with this? Oh, it was the whole sporting life at the turn of the last century, when the Industrial Revolution gave us the private airplane, the private motorcycle, and a private car.
Okay.
And so the
motoring life.
The motoring life.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see that.
Yeah. And it coincided with the other sports that became more, ski resorts, tennis became like a leisure sport, golf. Like it used to be like women wouldn't be caught dead on a golf course or something. But it was the slow ease of norms allowed women, and it became like more mainstream.
Yeah.
And the sporting life, we've talked about this, how the sporting life trickles into high fashion.
Yeah.
And all of those, like the car coat, it was the same, it developed at the same time as the motorcycle jacket.
That makes sense to me, because leather, I'm not a huge fan of leather yet, but when I think of leather, I don't think of breathability. but that's not something you necessarily want if you're motoring at 40 miles per hour, 50 miles per hour for hours on end. You want something that is going to block the wind, right?
Block the wind, protect you in case of an accident.
Right.
And leather, at the end of the day, it does breathe.
Does it?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's a natural. We have this. This is leather.
Right. Right.
It has pores. It's
Yeah.
minute, and usually back then they were lined with either, if it was for really warm, cold climates, it would be like a fur.
Right. Yeah. So that I'm imagining pilots.
Yes,
Yeah.
aviation
Right.
was a very big influence on motorcycle jackets.
Right.
The bomber
Yeah.
was first
There you go. Yeah.
first
It's-
an aviation jacket.
It was for bombers. Yeah.
I've wonder probably. I mean, it sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay, but continuing on art.
The art thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just, for me, the most important part about art and a gentleman's life is that it's one has to find your artistic medium.
Yeah.
And it could be business, I suppose. It could
Well,
be.
if we're using the definition of you get to use your imagination,
Right.
right?
Oh, right. Exactly.
So you
then
can
apply imagination to
Right.
a business practice.
right. But then there are more aesthetic, visual or oral, musical types
Right.
of art, which is, I think, more the vein of what we're talking about today.
Yeah, well, that kind of art. So once you get to that, like arts that do not have any other purpose but expression,
Right.
then you're
Okay, yeah.
dealing with those artists are actually they're on the like they're like spearheading to use that term
Yeah.
from earlier. A human it's the big human evolution towards new horizons.
Okay. Yeah.
So art can open up avenues for I don't know, women's liberation. What's acceptable when Monet displayed when he did his paintings at the I don't remember salon or whatever. They had like Paris during the last turn of the century was like the hotbed of art. And it's funny, this is another sidetrack, but it's funny when through the ages, and this is another thing you can learn if you delve into the history of art or whatever, the hotbeds of artistic activity always got transferred to different places. It wasn't like, it was like London in the 60s, Paris in the 20s and 30s, let's say.
Yeah.
New York in the 70s for sure. 70s and 80s, it was definitely New York. So it's an interesting phenomenon to see how the artistic centers
Right.
of the moment, and even in the 50s, I think New York was also.
I'm guessing it kind of follows the money too. Wherever the moneyed classes are able to purchase art, that's also where the art follows.
Yeah, you're right, I think. See, this is the perfect example of you bring a perspective to it that I wouldn't think of, but yes, of course. The second half.
Well, we all know about the Medicis and the,
Yeah.
So,
The Rockefellers
yeah.
were very big patrons of
Patrons.
the arts.
Yeah.
But they all do, like all the great, in quotes, families
Yeah.
did patronize the arts, and basically kind of dictated the mood and the direction of humanity's artistic or it all trickles down. Like obviously, the people who are on the avant-garde, right on the lines of the avant-garde, who are ahead of their time, as they say,
Yeah.
are considered crazy at the time, but they're the ones that are pushing the new trends. But then, far, far in the lines behind them, there is the everyday man who is going to get a small little inkling of it.
Yeah.
And by the time, what I was going to say about Monet is when he showed his paintings in whatever, either at the end of 18th century or the beginning of the 19th century, there were riots. People were like, we're not having this.
Yeah.
And now, Monet is the most popular room at the Met.
Yeah.
It's what everybody wants to see.
Yeah.
So
it's been
100
what was
change.
unacceptable when he first did his work, because it was very groundbreaking, right? It was Impressionism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was.
But now
to
it's
people,
been
it was like,
thoroughly digested by society, and everyone has been. It's been processed for popular consumption.
yeah. Yeah.
It's on my cell phone case now. I could get it printed on a cell phone case, and
Yeah,
but we live in different times.
Pollock's paintings
Yeah.
were like, people thought it was a joke,
Right.
but which also there's a whole story of how the CIA perpetuated all of that.
I heard about this. Yeah.
Because they wanted to be, because there was a race,
Right.
communist Russia and the West
Yes.
were rivals, and communists the communists had the social realism of the moment.
Yeah.
So and all the classical stuff, music-wise.
So they were dominating the classics, and so us insecure Americans had to come up with something of
Yeah.
our own, and so we came up with modernism.
Modernism, yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was like, just slap some paint on a canvas
Right,
and you're
exactly.
good to go.
And now we've dominated the culture wars.
Yeah, and it was jazz.
It was successful.
Jazz was a
Yeah.
part of it too.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of avant-garde painters, in the Russian, in Russia as well.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, the first completely abstract paintings are credited to Russians. So
They just didn't get the institutional support that, not that American institutions did, but our elite did support the Jackson Pollocks.
yeah,
I'm
they
guessing.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Who was it? The Guggenheim, I think it was the Guggenheim lady. She was considered like a real racy woman. She was like sleeping with all sorts of men and didn't give a shit. Really modern woman.
Yeah.
And she's the one who bought that huge one that I think is at the Museum of Modern Art now.
Yeah.
The really definitive piece by him. But back to the personal, how do you take all of that craziness and scale it down to the personal level? Like raising a garden or working on your car.
Yeah.
Or even like, re-sewing your buttons on your shirt with red thread instead of black thread. Those are little steps towards discovering your own personality,
Right.
and discovering your own artistic bends.
So I'm seeing like there's this continuum between the artistic and the practical. And then there's everything in between.
Continuum between the artistic and the practical?
Right, exactly. Yeah. If you're just completely trapped in the practical, meaning what's needed right now in this moment, what needs to get done, with no imagination of how things could be done differently, then you will just live in this state of stasis.
Utilitarian?
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's-
utilitarian. Yeah. So the artistic kind of brings in this. You're asking, okay, we live in this reality now, but what are the possibilities about how to do things differently? And then if you go really far in that end, it has no practical benefit. But it could inspire somebody, inspire others to, because the way I think of art is that it's kind of this amorphous type thing, but it trickles down through the rest of society, and then
Absolutely,
people,
yes.
it is inspiration for people who are more practical, perhaps, to do something differently.
So, see the last thing you said, to do something differently.
Yeah.
So, that is, I think, is kind of a key point here. Is, do you want to be different? Do you want to chart your own path? Or do you want to be like everyone else? And if you want to be like everyone else, you don't feel like, if you feel like there is no individual voice inside you, all you have is just this bubble of influences from wherever the hell it is.
You've only you don't have imagination of your own. You're just whatever you've absorbed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is important. Absorbing.
Yeah.
As long as you're absorbing, now we come into like quality and being able to discern between useless garbage
Yeah.
as an influence or something really poignant and something that's of its time. Someone who's like putting their finger on the moment.
Yeah.
Like making, let's say, a hat or making a song that's like, this is the definitive song of today. And you have to be able to, and these things, this is like taste. You have to develop it. It's not, you're not just going to be born with it one day.
Yeah.
And so basically what it boils down to is, this is not something that you can just like step into. It's a lifelong endeavor. And it has to come from the inside first. You have to want to be. You have to have a thirst to discover your own individuality.
Yeah, I think what you're saying, correct me if I'm wrong, is you shouldn't just absorb everything around you and treat it all equally, as if everything were equally valid, because you used a word that I really like, which is discernment. Is that you need to exercise some kind of judgment, some kind of, dare I say, discrimination between what is quality and what is not quality.
Oh my God. Speaking of finger on the pulse of the moment.
Well, I think we kind of are touching on something, because as of 2026, we just lived through this really long period. By really long, I mean like 5, maybe 10 years of this culture that wants to deconstruct and everything. We want to. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but
clean up our history.
Yeah. The emphasis has been on everything, and I think it's kind of trying to attack this idea of structure itself, and attacking this idea of that there is good and that there is bad. So we don't have to talk about in strict moralistic terms, but this idea that some things are better quality than others, I think itself, that idea itself has been under attack, and I think it's time for us to reclaim it.
Oh, I mean, the foundation of that philosophy is you're literally standing on quicksand. You cannot,
Yeah,
if you're not going to be able to discern between the quality of anything,
yeah,
you're gonna wind up with shitty clothes that fall apart after 2 weeks of wearing, shitty cars that are gonna fall apart after 2 weeks of driving. So if you're not gonna so this is what I mean about this discernment. When you see this philosophy being pushed, one should use their wherewithal to see right through it and throw it out the window immediately. No matter how big or loud the voices that carry it are.
yeah,
So this is another, I think we spoke about this in one of the episodes. You have to be brave, especially nowadays. It used to be the voices of reason were a lot more, and the voices of reason are never loud. The voices of insanity are usually the loud ones, because insanity is a hard pill to swallow. So these people have to push it. That if something is being pushed really hard,
yeah.
it's probably bad.
Well, if something is self-evidently true, I don't need to get into an argument with you about whether the sun is going to rise tomorrow. We're not going to get into argument about that because we assume that it's true, right? So it doesn't require a lot of energy.
Yeah, but
It requires a lot of energy to convince you that the sky is going to fall, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it depends. Some people, especially nowadays, we've been, I'm going to use another great word, brainwashed to the point where, people think that men can have babies. It's like we literally have arrived at this time and place. If you talked about this, and it's like the funny thing about it is it's the same people who are like believe we're like it's science,
Right.
We're like into science, and at the same time they're like presenting this factoid,
Right.
and it's so if you can see how the two cannot agree, and you're still sort of buying into this, you're probably like on the wrong. Something is wrong. You really need to
Right.
take a look at the mechanism of discernment once again.
Yeah. We're getting far into the weeds.
We are.
Yeah.
I feel it's important though. Like these are like I think people we've gone so into the weeds in our culture, away from very basic truths,
Yeah.
that people need to come, pedal back and be like, this is ridiculous. This makes sense.
Right.
And if so,
I feel like I've heard it described as we're living at this inflection point where we're renegotiating how we define reality.
right,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so I think that's why all of this is bubbling up in our culture, is that we're still in this moment of figuring everything out. Right now, up is down and left is right,
yeah,
and right is wrong and wrong is right. And I think we're in the thick of it right now.
yeah.
But I think we're at an inflection point. So I'm kind of curious to see where our culture is going to be in, say, like 5 or 10 years. But with the election of our last president, they had what they called the vibe shift, I know you're not as plugged in to social media, but a lot of people have been talking about, um, in a way, if I'm going to step in it now, but for a lot of people, they felt like it was a step towards a return to sanity.
Mm.
Where there are other people who feel like we're in the most insane period of American life that there has ever been, which again is an indicator of we're still in this moment of confusion and figuring things out. How can these two wide swaths of America look at things so differently?
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, confusion is a great tool of social engineers.
Yeah.
So if I were to give anyone a little roadmap or sort of yeah, I guess a roadmap would be, I would say, look at all of this as it's an agenda, and they're all the parties that are involved are a part. They're getting a script from the same place. They're all just actors. There's a term, lifetime actors, and all of these people are actors. Anyone who gets into any like political office on the highest level, they've been initiated.
Yeah.
You're not getting in to that place. And none of them make their own decisions. They're all actors, and they get the script, and they all play off each other to make sure that the masses are confused and bumping into each other and not paying attention to the fact that we're being fucked by the ruling class. So just look past the confusion, get off the social media. It's not really gonna, I haven't been on social media in years, and I'm perfectly fine. It's like I'm not aware of what is happening today or tomorrow, but or yesterday. But like the big occurrences will trickle down into your life because you have friends who are still kind of in touch with all of that stuff, and they'll give you like the big things that are happening, and
Yeah.
you'll see them
The occasional update.
yeah, and you'll see, and you understand that they're just it just reinforces my worldview. I'm watching these agendas unfold, and it makes total sense. So the distraction that's happening now is they're pitting the blue and the red. But what they're really doing is they're destroying all the infrastructure of all the great manufacturing in the world. So all these tariffs that Trump is waging against the world, they're just going to destroy whatever is left of the great manufacturing places in Italy, in France. France is already decimated. Germany is fucked. So it's all going away. And guess what? We are the ones who are going to be stuck with a world where there are no factories that make socks and underwear.
So to dovetail off of that and to segue back to our original topic, we were talking about social media. I think social media is a block towards artistry. Of course, it's a platform if you're creating art to share your artistry, but I think the trend that social media has been going in is that when Instagram first came out, everyone was making posts all the time. But now it has become more and more of a platform for consumption. People are not really making posts anymore. It's a smaller and smaller usership of Instagram that is putting out posts. And so people are consuming passively. The point I'm trying to make is that when you're always in a mode of passive consumption, you don't experience the quietness with yourself in order for your imagination to take off.
Yeah, absolutely true.
Yeah.
Yeah, when it sets your brain. Television did that too.
Yeah.
The passive viewing, just laying there and watching. It's so easy to just lay there and watch the images.
There were even critics of books, of writing in the beginning, where people felt like, with the arrival of books, that in a way it was its own kind of brain rot. And there are people who look at these critics as Luddites now, people in our age who look at those critics as Luddites, these Luddites who warned against the dangers of reading in bed. And we kind of ha 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 and point at them, oh, how stupid were these people. But I actually kind of see the point.
You can see it now because we're like we are living through maybe the third or fourth iteration of the book.
Yeah.
Through radio, television,
right, exactly.
movies.
It started with the book, this technology of something that
passive consumption.
Yeah, because you're not, in a way, you are interacting with the book, but you're not having a dialogue in it the same way that you and I are having a dialogue at this point in time right now.
Yeah. The book, it's a little better. Obviously, they couldn't just plop internet in the middle of the 18th century on the public because they wouldn't know what to do with it. So it's like a slow little progress.
I heard North Korean soldiers fighting for Russia on the Ukrainian front right now. They've been so overwhelmed by the cell phones that they have been given that they just cannot stop filleting themselves after being exposed to porn. But that's to a point where, if we just plopped mobile devices at that point in time, I mean, history could have ground to a halt.
These are all pitfalls that we have to be aware of and understand that they're all placed they're around on purpose. And we're fighting an uphill battle as individuals.
Yeah.
This is very difficult to carve out a time for yourself to just have a peaceful moment where you can just sit quietly and contemplate, who am I? Why am I here? What am I doing with my life? What's important to me? What is my life? What's the meaning of my life?
Yeah, to embrace boredom.
It's not that boring when you're sitting there trying to figure out what you're trying to do. It's not that boring.
But it's uncomfortable
because we're not used to it.
And so it's really easy to just whip out this device.
Absolutely.
And scroll.
Yeah. They've made it so that it is that. And it's always been that way. The radio, you just sit around and listen. The TV, you just passively sit there and watch. And the internet, you just sit there and swipe. And so, it's easier than... So what we could take away from it is the things that are worth doing are not easy.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I found that in my own personal development, I find that the things that are the hardest for you as a person to do are the most important things for you to do first. To get the things that are, because if you really look, if you haven't gone down the road of like killing your soul to the point where it's like, small and almost dead, if there's still a spark in you, you look in the mirror and you know the answer. You know all of this is true, and you know that you know right from wrong, and you know what you have to do. You know that going to a bar night after night, drinking yourself silly, is not going to get you anywhere. Yeah, it might be fun and stupid at the moment. I did it. We all did it. But it doesn't get you anywhere. And the sooner you realize that the things that are worth doing in life are not those things, and it's really being honest with yourself. Just take a good look at yourself, ask yourself those questions. Why am I here? What's the meaning of my life?
I think the thing about bars and drugs and all these other addictions that you could get to, distractions, they're a way of turning off that voice in your head that is telling you, hey, there's something that you need to
Yes.
tend to.
Yes.
And so you're tired of that voice, and so that's why you go to the bar.
You drown it.
Yeah, you drown
it out.
Yeah.
And we've glamorized, the movies have glamorized when I was in the throes of going sober. My biggest trepidation was that, am I gonna create art that's gonna be cool still?
All right, here we go. Let's get into it.
Oh, this is a very quick one.
No, I think this is fascinating.
Well,
stuff.
it goes right back to
Yeah.
the subject of this episode, and I was like, look at all the great artists. Look at who's the greatest? The greatest drunk painter would be, Pollock killed himself.
Right, Pollock was a drunk, right? What was
Pollock
it?
was
Gin?
a drunk. They're all drunks.
What was he into?
They were all, not all, but
Yeah.
Pollock is famously was a drunk. The one that I'm thinking about is the Francis Bacon, the British guy, fucking drunk from hell. And then Bukowski obviously was.
Wait, wasn't Sir Francis? I thought
No,
he was
that's
a
different.
scientist.
No, that's a different
okay.
Bacon. There was,
So he's not Sir. This is
he's
just
not Sir.
Francis Bacon.
Yeah, this is like 200 years
yeah.
after
Yeah.
Sir Francis Bacon, the guy
Okay.
who's supposedly Shakespeare and all these other people.
And then Bukowski.
Bukowski.
We know the
they
poet.
all
Yeah.
supposedly. I remember I had a friend who was a great painter, and then he decided he was going to be a writer, and he's like, "Well, all writers were drunks, so I have to be a drunk."
Hemingway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to be a drunk, and he nearly killed himself.
Yeah.
Drinking, because
Did he really do that because he thought that fit the cast, or because there was some part of him that really liked alcohol?
I'm sure there's both of them going hand in hand.
Yeah.
But he was young, impressionable, and he was the kind of person who bought into the romanticism. He was a kind of a romantic person.
Okay.
And he bought into this romanticism of the drunk artist, the brooding drunk artist. And he literally had to get those pills that make you sick when you take alcohol.
Oh, I remember when they first came out, yeah.
He had to get those because
Yeah.
he was going to kill himself.
Okay.
So all this romantic. So when I was in the throes of it, that was my only trepidation about it. I mean, yeah, I grew up in a culture. Russians, Ukrainians were like known we're as big of a drunks as the Finnish and the Irish.
Yeah.
But then if you go down the road, all people are considered. Everybody has their alcohol. The Mexicans. I mean, when you look at all these Mexican food trucks, there's always the Mexican drunk person in a big sombrero on it. Yeah. I'm like, why? They just perpetuate these terrible stereotypes.
Yeah.
And now that I'm 6 years later into it and I've created some of my favorite pieces that I've ever made, the drunk, it has zero room in creativity. It's the absolutely unnecessary. You're not able, even if you have a great idea, you're probably going to forget about it. Because usually whatever people always thought, oh, well, I'll get drunk, I'll get great ideas. I'll take some acid and I'll get great ideas.
Yeah.
And then I'll translate them onto canvas or onto a movie screen or into a poem.
Yeah.
And then the night is over, you sleep it off, you've forgotten everything.
Yeah.
You don't remember any of that shit. And a drunk person is not going to start jotting down ideas in the middle of drunken revelry. So all of that drunk, the romanticism of a drunk artist are just moot. So throw that right out the window. Sober, intent. When you're making art that you are completely aware of what you're doing and you have complete intent in what you're doing, that's the real stuff. If and you'll be able to tell um, whether you're good at something or not, because when you're like half drunk or hungover, you can't even discern whether the stuff that you just made is good or is just you're satisfied with it because you're tired, and so all of those mind-altering substances have no room in creating art. You have to be sober to create great art, as far as I'm concerned. And But I'd like to stress the fact that we should all look inside ourselves and find something small to start with. But start with something and find something that you are. It's an artistic endeavor. It doesn't involve any, getting fucked up, and just do something small and do it for yourself and do it because you love it and do it because it's interesting, and it's interesting to you. Your own voice. Your own voice is very important. And all the answers of whatever your questions you might have about what should I paint? What should I write my song about? They're all inside you, but you have to feed your soul so it can give you. So you got to feed it so it can feed you back. But if you're just gonna constantly drown it, you'll eventually wind up with those blank eyes, and that's not a cute look when you're on your deathbed and you're thinking, what the fuck did I do with my life? And that's why art is important for a gentleman. What else did I want to say about it? Art. Well, what I wanted to say is like those avant-garde, the people who are on the fringes, the ones that are pushing society towards, the Jackson Pollocks, when they were painting like that, you're taking quite a risk trying to put up paintings that have never been done before. And I think we all have to be, of course, it got usurped and used for malevolent reasons. But I think we all need to be those people that are not afraid to be themselves, not afraid of their own voice. Of course, if the voice in your head tells you that you want to kill all the gypsies and all the black people and all the Puerto Ricans in Europe.
Yeah, put a lid on that.
Yeah, you might want to put a lid on that voice.
Yeah.
It's definitely not the voice of your soul.
And don't apply to art school.
Yeah. It's probably the voice, the fact that your soul has been so poorly diminished that, and I believe this, that evil entities could enter bodies that are where the soul does not have a strong enough will, and they can enter into you and then guide you to these malevolent pursuits.
Yeah.
Hitler was, he was in school with Egon Schiele, and he was pursuing an artistic career, and somehow, some way, some fucked up shit got in his head.
Yeah.
And we had, Hitler, again, he was not the guy who invented all of this. All three world wars were described in a book by the first leader of the Illuminati, Mazzini, the Italian, and he wrote a letter to the second most important Mason in the world at the time, and his name was He's the only Southern general that still has the Confederate general that still has a statue erected to him in Washington D.C.
Oh yeah.
William Pike.
Okay.
Pike.
I don't know who he is.
So he wrote a letter. Mazzini wrote a letter to Pike, and he described. I think that's the story, but he described, or maybe it's in the book that Pike wrote or Mazzini wrote, but they described all three world wars, where they were who they were gonna pit against each other to get their ends.
I think that the root of a lot of the most terrible things that have happened to humanity actually comes from grievance. I think it's like in the example of Hitler. I think he's had some grievances that he nursed. Of course, I've never read Mein Kampf, but if I were to guess, that's probably where it came from. I think a lot of the political movements that resulted in the Cultural Revolution and the gulags, it's also rooted in grievance of having felt wrong and not being able to move on to something else, and letting that feeling of being wronged grow until it takes over your life.
Well, I would definitely agree that Hitler used to motivate the Germans to go to war. He used the grievances that arose out of World War One.
Yeah.
Where Germany was fucked.
Right. Yeah. Where everyone pinned the responsibility on the Germans, and they felt like we did not deserve this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, this was all socially engineered.
Yeah.
World War One was created to create World War Two, and and then to create Israel and all of these things. This is just, I don't know. It almost seems to me like the powers that be just wants like they just want like this gladiator. Displays, so that they just enjoy watching humans kill themselves. It's just it's when I look at it, it's like I can't. There's no other logic of what else could be the motivation to pin. I mean, look, the Irish against the Irish, the Koreans against the Koreans, the Ukrainians against the Russians, same people. I literally have family on both sides.
Yeah.
And then you have, I mean, even if you look at the World War II, the Germans were fighting. They were all the same people. The Poles and the Czechs and all the people around Germany. They're not that different. They're like similar people.
I mean, yeah, this remains a point of difference between you and me. Like, the people in control. I don't know who the people in control are. I don't know if there are people in control. But I do know that it's very easy for people to see things in a binary way. And so that's why I think a lot of conflicts do happen, is that people naturally pick one side or another. You know, capitalism versus communism.
I don't think so. I don't think it's easy. I think it's, well, yes, actually. Yes, it's much easier to give people and say, it's either this or this.
Right.
Very easy for you to make a decision. But when you look at it, it's literally this.
Yes.
And there's no dividing line.
Right.
So yeah, if you're
I think most people are too soft-brained. And I'm just going to say, I'm going to put it that way. Yeah, it's too much, nuance is too much work for most people.
Well, this is why, okay, so again, we got to get into discernment and
what sermon?
Discernment.
Oh,
you got to get you got to get into
discernment,
being, knowing right from wrong and seeing, you know.
Yeah.
But when you were saying the black and white and it's easy, oh man, I just had a really good point about that. is that yeah, it's much easier when you give people two choices to choose,
Yeah.
you got to pick either the black or the white, and then you fight for that. Oh crap! I just had it just escaped me that the point, the dichotomies that people present. It's you're right. It's easier, but I have the argument opposite of that. Um, yeah. All
It'll
right.
come back.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway, um, funny enough, our next episode is gonna be about dichotomies.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're gonna talk about how fashion, the fashion world, basically has done that to sell clothes.
Oh yeah.
You
You
know,
showed me that book. So like the
the
artist versus the reformer, and then
the bad boy versus the
the
preppy,
preppy. Yeah.
or the sports guy
Yeah.
versus the workwear guy.
Right.
So they just
Yeah.
so it's this is a form of human manipulation. Um, and yeah, it's easier. Um, shit, it was just on the tip of my mind. It was just like that's a part of. Uh,
A, an idea that I've been playing with is this idea of holding the center. And it's not my own idea, but I think that it's something that the West kind of has trouble with. I think we like to, either go and be hardcore about being in one camp or the other. In fact, in our political moment right now, there's a lot of open disdain for people who choose to quote unquote ride the fence, because they feel like all you're doing is taking the temperature of the room and choosing a position based on that. But to me, the idea of holding the center is knowing how to walk with your left and right feet, and to remain flexible and dynamic in a situation. When it's cold outside, you know how to put on a coat, and when it's hot outside, you know how to put on something a little more breathable. You know, how do you adapt to the situation? And that's something that we're really allergic to right now. This idea of being able to hold the center and walk with left and right feet.
well, that to me that brings me to the Oscar Wilde quote. I don't want to be a part of any club that will have me.
I think that was not Oscar Wilde. It was something Marx, not Carl.
Not Carl, one of the Marx
the
brothers.
other, yeah, one of the Marx brothers.
Harpo
Yeah.
or.
But yeah, I love that quote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's flexible is great. It's a very key. There's a Chinese proverb that says if you're not a flexible tree,
Oh, you will break.
you'll break.
Yeah, you want to be able to bend with the wind in a
Yeah.
storm. Yeah.
So I've always believed that. I've always believed that you can literally believe both sides of the story.
I think it was Groucho Marx.
Groucho, I mean, he was probably the most famous and
Yeah.
the most philosophical. Even
Yeah.
though people think they're a bunch of three buffoons,
Uh-huh.
I think Groucho was super high IQ.
Yeah, I don't think you stumble into being that sort of cultural icon without understanding what's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to really
Yeah.
know your place and know how to tug at all the strings
Right.
of the general public in order to become a person they want to see over
Right.
and over and over again.
Right.
So flexibility, even though we're talking
Adaptability.
about adaptability,
Yeah, mhm,
when you're flexible, then it's easier to adapt.
Yeah.
When you're like, and this is not a cop out, you still, your core beliefs should never, you can never waver from your core beliefs.
Yeah. But it's about adapting your core beliefs to the circumstance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're, whatever it is, it's, we can bring up a myriad of examples.
Right.
Flexibility is and it's, I always go back to, it's all inside you. It's like you really got to get in touch with yourself and be okay with whatever it is that your soul tells you to do, and just be brave enough to pursue it. And no matter what the screaming voices around you do, be the brave one who doesn't be that person with the plastic bag going in front of the tank in Tiananmen Square. And we remember him. Mm-hmm. That person, even though he disappeared, I'm sure he disappeared into the ether of Chinese jail system.
Right.
But we remember him. He's a hero. Like, speaking of heroes, we kind of did a hero episode, right?
Kind of.
Oh, the masculinity one.
Right.
Was had a little bit of a
hero. Okay, thing. Yeah. I think, all right, he'll take our first hero spot is Tank Man.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I have to, because I struggled with finding my heroes.
Yeah.
And that man, boom. Completely.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a man who stood up to not just that tank, he stood up to the whole of Chinese.
The whole Chinese system.
Yeah. And that's in China. I mean, standing up, let's say, to an American system is also daunting.
Yeah.
But supposedly we're a democracy and we have some kind of, that man knew he had no rights. He will just get swallowed up, and he just went for it, and he stood up because he needed to do it for, whatever his motivation was. Maybe he wanted to make a better place for his children to live in.
I mean, when he woke up that morning, he was not planning on standing in front of a tank.
Right.
I think the imagery, what makes that image so powerful, is the fact that he was literally on his way home from doing groceries.
Just incredible. Just incredible. Everything about it is so...
Yeah. And so to rewind a little bit back to that episode on masculinity, I think what we talked about, what we concluded, or what we wanted to highlight was the small acts of heroism that we wanted to hold up, the unsung, unseen acts of humanity.
And we thought those are the most important ones, the ones where people...
The everyday. It was just, with Tankman, it was because, look, he didn't know that there was a photographer when he did that.
Of course not. He didn't do it because, I'm going to get on Twitter
by doing exactly, this. Yeah. And so I think that's what else makes it great, is that
the pure
he
motivation.
Did not do it for an audience.
The motivation was out of, again, he listened to his soul, and his soul told him.
Just called him at that moment.
This is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And he did it.
Yeah.
Despite how insane that might.
And I think that originally it was a video, right? It was not a photographer. So I don't know
the moving image. He would move.
Right.
The tank would move.
The tank would try to point away and get around him.
And he would go right in front of it again.
Exactly. That's what I remember. Yeah. That's really incredible.
Yeah. So he is the greatest hero of the 21st century, the 20th century.
Yeah. I mean, the symbolism of standing in front of the system, because the tank represents the system.
Yes.
That was able to grind him to a pulp.
Nothing. Yeah, he'll be road.
I wonder who the driver of that tank is, whether they're still alive. Of course, they would never allow themselves to be interviewed. But
Well, it's always,
it's a fun mental
the
exercise.
people. I mean, what do you, how do you think the pilots of the planes that dropped the bombs on Japan,
Oh,
how do you feel? How do you think they dealt with
yeah.
being on their deathbed, knowing that they killed that many people that
Right.
they never met?
Yeah.
They never did any harm to them.
Yeah.
Japan literally is on the other side of the world
Right.
from the United States. So all they did was follow a command from God knows where, on the radio, not even in person, not even a commander didn't stare you in the eye and said, this is why you're going to do it. It's the radio. They did it over the radio, and they're like,
Yeah.
okay, go ahead, drop the bomb. And they went and did it.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane. So that's the anti-hero right there.
Right. I think, well, I think you could have two thoughts, hold two opposite ideas about it at the same time. I'm imagining if I were that pilot. On the one hand, it's had those bombs not been dropped, the war would have ground on and would have chewed up a lot more human lives.
Japan already gave up.
I don't think
that.
they did.
They didn't sign the treaty on the boat, that famous signage on the boat with all the. They didn't do that yet, but I think Japan, whatever, seceded or whatever it was. They were like, fine, we're done.
My understanding of it was they did not even surrender after the first bomb was dropped.
Oh, really?
And yeah, and even after the second bomb was dropped, they still did not surrender until the emperor, who is usually just a symbolic figurehead, finally stepped in and said, guys, it's over. And only at that point. I mean, these are people who were willing to kill themselves than be captured by the enemy.
Right.
And so I think they were, I think they were ready to
keep going,
to be destroyed as a civilization than to admit defeat until.
I could see how the Japanese would have that.
Right. Yeah.
They do have that. The samurai, would never.
I will die by the sword.
Yeah. There's no.
Now I'm not a historian, so I can't say for sure. I could, I'm probably
that was the case.
Yeah.
And then also the beginning of World War II was like convoluted because.
But going back to our point about, we think it's easier for us to see things in black and white terms. I think you could be the pilot of
Enola Gay.
Of the Enola Gay, and hold both ideas that it was necessary and also that it was terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that raises a great point because you should be able to encompass two opposing thoughts in your head and still function as a human.
Right.
Because there's a lot of times you'll do stuff where it's like, but this is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I believe this, and also I believe the opposite of it.
Right.
But I'm gonna do this in this moment.
I feel like I'm like that a lot of the time, where that I'm holding a lot of these opposite ideas, and it could lead to a kind of paralysis sometimes. But then it's just like what ends up happening is I just hold the tension between the opposites. This is Jungian language right now.
Go ahead.
And then I wait until the moment of decision and I see what comes out of me.
Good.
Yeah, that's just how I deal with it.
I think that's a good move. I think that's a great practice of being able to make split-second decisions, like even huge ones, and like do hopefully the correct one,
Right, hopefully. Yeah.
but then
And it's
not get paralyzed.
it's not a type of roll of the dice either, because that whole time in the lead up to that moment, I'm running through everything, like every possibility.
Right.
You know. So it's not it is both a type of decision and indecision at the same time.
Yeah.
But you're hoping, this is kind of like, there's this Taoist idea of wu wei or wu wei, which is you don't want to try to force an outcome. You're kind of, it's, the idea is what leaps out of you in the moment. It's a type of spontaneity, but you're not trying to impose control on reality. That's a tight way of approaching the world, right? Where you need to micromanage everything.
Oh yeah.
And that's a big way of expending and wasting your energy, I think.
Yeah.
It's kind of like jazz, I would say. It's like, does the musician know exactly what it is that they want to play when their turn comes up? Or are they just
winging it?
They're absorbing from the environment, they're absorbing from the other players and the audience. And at the moment,
you wait right up all the you need in order for you to make that decision. You need to wait until that moment,
right?
So that you have all the information that you need in order to make the right decision.
And that information is probably too much for us to process consciously, and that's why letting our unconscious kind of take over.
That's a great point.
And I think maybe that's okay. We're coming back to art again. This is where art is coming back to, is like, you can't get everything down on paper and be like, Monet did not write, this is exactly what I'm going to draw, and it's going to be called Impressionism. And no, it leapt out of him.
I can tell you that it literally, when you're painting, it literally, every brushstroke that you make, the next one is dictated by that brushstroke.
Right.
So whatever that was, if you made that one a little too long, this one is going to have to be a little shorter.
It's going to compensate a little.
Yeah. So it's that whatever that give and take thing, dance.
Yeah.
That happens.
There's a flow to it. Every decision's preceded by what came before it.
Yeah.
But if you're controlling it the whole time, it's like, no, every single one every stroke needs to be the perfect length.
Well, then it becomes paint by numbers.
Right.
And it's no longer dynamic.
Yeah.
And it's dead.
Right. So that's not an act of performance anymore. It is a machine that is stamping something.
Exactly. And we are trying to get away from machine. We want human. The human. And I guess, I never even thought about that. That art, like, that's the thing about art, is that it's such a human endeavor, because the decisions are made. Every single stroke that you make is it's that battle.
I have this image of art being like, you're standing on a cliff and you're looking beyond the horizon, and everything, whether it's music or painting or something, it's whatever is coming across the horizon that you are putting down onto paper or playing out of your instrument, because you can't see beyond the horizon. Right. And so the horizon it's a metaphor for your unconscious. Your unconscious. Unconscious. Yeah. It's bubbling up. It's bubbling up from that border between what you know intellectually. And I mean, like, where do ideas come from? You actually, it's not under conscious control when you come up with these ideas. There's a process. There's a process that is happening inside you that is outside of your direction. And so I think that's where imagination and expression, artistic expression comes from. Is that there are so many stories of, say, musicians, they heard a melody as they were coming to wake up. They kind of heard it in their dream. It was in this, okay, another word, liminal.
Liminal.
It's in the liminal space. It's right between the conscious and the unconscious, and
Right.
it's just it's just coming across into your consciousness.
Right.
Yeah.
You just raised the probably the most important point of this video.
Yeah, I think I
Where
did pretty well.
does the imagination come from?
Right.
And it is kind of inexplicable where it's because it's that split second decision that you make when you're in the moment and you have to commit to this or to that.
Yeah.
And there's a million. If you're in front of an empty canvas, or whatever the empty canvas equivalent of
Right.
a person who's about to take a saxophone solo,
Yeah.
in a jazz tune,
Yeah.
it's empty, and then you just have to step into it,
Right.
and just kill and just say something of the moment. It took you a lifetime to be able to speak that language,
Right.
and you have the vocabulary to say everything,
Yeah.
but it is that tension of I don't know, and then when the moment comes where you have to say it,
Right.
you just deliver,
Yeah.
and you take all of those, the both of those things, the two things that oppose each other,
Right.
and somehow
Yeah.
put them together to make sense.
There's a famous jazz musician, I forgot who he is, what his name is, but what he says is, that the key behind jazz is you practice, 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 but when you get up on stage, you forget all that shit.
Oh, they say
and you
that-
just wail.
They say that about everything.
Right.
You want to practice with painting too.
Right.
But then when you're actually painting, you don't want your your brain to be like, oh well, obviously there should be some shadow here, there should be the local color here, and there should be some reflective light here. You just want to. It's a dynamic.
Right. Flow. It's a state of flow.
It's this sort of like this beautiful place that you don't even know where the fuck you are. It's like it's like, yeah, it's a beautiful place, and God knows booze and drugs have no place in that. It's hard enough to reconcile all of these things as is. You need a really clear mind.
Whenever we talk about booze and drugs, I think we should just automatically lump in social media with that.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely a manipulator just as bad, a crippler.
Yeah, because I see all those three things as stepping in the space of the quiet that you're supposed to have in order to hear that creativity.
Yeah. And I will go a little further and say social media includes porn.
Yeah.
That needs to be completely erased out of people's as a possibility.
Yeah.
That should just be completely thrown, just like everything. All of those
They're
you
all
know,
addictions.
they're all addictions.
Booze, drugs,
But I
social
think
media,
the social
sex
media,
addiction.
I feel,
Yeah.
are the strongest ones.
It's the most prevalent.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
most crippling. I think, you know, you drink a little bit, and I
Yeah.
have a couple of friends who
At
drink.
times a lot. Yeah.
But you know, you have a little bit of control, and you know, we're still able to all those nights we're able to still have a good time and communicate, and it doesn't. But when you're delving into social media, it really numbs a lot of your faculties that are so needed in order to navigate through this maelstrom of insanity that's going on around us today.
I've been working on this YouTube video for my business, and I'm scripting it out right now. And I'm on my third draft of it. And I found that when I'm working at the computer, that the fact that I'm staring at a screen and that my browser is just one click away, it's like I could hop on Reddit or Instagram or YouTube before I'm even conscious that I made the decision. And so it's become a big distraction. And so what I found is I work better if I'm going to work at my computer. It works better if I close my eyes. I close my eyes.
Oh.
I'll close my eyes and I will type as the words come across my mind. My script.
What about just shutting off the
monitor?
Not the monitor. The thing that gives you the internet.
Oh yeah, I could do that too.
What is it? The modem.
Yeah, the modem or the Wi-Fi. Yeah, that could work too. But I kind of like I think closing my eyes works for me.
Okay.
Because then I'm not even getting. You know, I think when I'm looking at my monitor and I see those icons, in a subconscious way, they're calling to me.
Yes. Yeah. This is addiction.
Yeah.
It's the same thing when I was going to that pseudo AA stuff. They would talk about avoid places.
Triggers.
Yeah, the triggering people in the triggering places.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, it's the last struggle of the internet.
Is Facebook Marketplace.
Facebook Marketplace and eBay.
Yeah.
Is my last struggle, and I'm struggling through it right now.
Yeah.
And it's still a battle. I'm still battling through it.
When you're browsing Marketplace or eBay, do you feel that same sort of dopamine chasing thing as when, say, you were drinking? Do you feel like it's coming from?
I don't know. I don't remember.
The same part of your brain or your?
I don't know. This is more about, you know, like right now I'm like researching leather jackets and leather pants.
Yeah.
So I'm reading a book on the history of leather jackets. And whenever I'll read about a manufacturer that I never heard of, I'll immediately jump on eBay, see what's out there, what kind of prices they command.
Oh, interesting. I'm learning about your shopping process.
And also and then I look at designs.
Yeah.
I mean, why am I reading this book? I don't want to recreate any of these jackets per se. I don't want to copy.
You don't want to make a facsimile.
No. Yeah. I mean, a lot of these leather companies, like the one in New York that I was telling you about.
Shot.
No, there's this new it's other.
The factory.
Other Worlds.
Okay.
Ash. Lost Worlds.
Okay.
It's a company, a leather company. Everybody should look it up.
Yeah.
The page that I sent you with all that verbiage, it's off their page.
Okay.
So they do homages to some of the greatest jackets. Like, so there was a Harley Davidson, the greatest Harley Davidson jacket was called course, I just started, so I don't know. Something Champ.
Yeah.
So I don't know whether the Lost Worlds did one
Well,
of that, but they did an homage to East-West musical instruments,
okay.
and that's the jacket that I showed you, the swan jacket.
Yeah.
That's East-West. So they did an homage to that, and they did this. So that's that's San Francisco, and then there was a company, Ashwakan in New York, so they did an Ashwakan homage too. But then there's a company called Buko. Forgot what they're from. They did an homage to Buko as well. But I think Buko still exists. Funny. Did you know that the real McCoy is an actual leather jacket company?
No.
Yeah.
It's called The Real McCoy?
Yeah.
Or is it just called
It's
McCoy?
McCoy.
Yeah.
But on the thing it says
The Real
this
McCoy.
is the real McCoy.
Okay, yeah.
So
That's where that
that's where that comes
term comes from.
from. And yeah, so that's my depth.
Well, so I think part of what makes Arthur is that curiosity about all these different things.
Right.
And so I don't know if I would put that in the same category as your other former addictions.
Yeah, this is definitely a little bit different, but I do find myself doing a little bit more
Than
I
like.
should.
Okay, yeah.
So I'll find the answer to my question,
And then you'll go on.
and then I'll go on.
Yeah.
I'll be because so you'll see you'll find. So I'll see. Let's say I put in a brand name of these jackets, and I'm literally researching the brand names of zippers. There were 3 zipper makers back then.
Yeah.
And so the best one, I forgot what it's called, but so so I put that in to see which jackets have
not
the
YKK.
zippers. No, YKK is much later.
Yeah.
And these are all American companies. YKK is Japanese.
Right.
So I'll put in the zipper name, see what kind of jackets come up, and then whatever jackets come up, then I'll look at the brand of that jacket, and then I'll put that in to see what kind of jackets that company made that decided to use that zipper.
Yeah.
Because it's the best zipper, because they paid, it's not, they chose to pay extra for a nicer zipper on their jacket. So obviously this is a company that has a bit of integrity, which is, to me, means there's a little bit extra thought into design.
Yeah.
I'm interested in all of these things because when I'm going to design my own jackets, all of this information, it's going to be the same thing.
Right.
It's going to be all of this information that I learned.
You learn and you learn and then you learn and then at the moment that you sew, you forget all that shit.
At the moment
and you
where
just
I'm going to draw. Yeah, at the moment where I'm going to draw.
Right.
It's gonna be get thrown out the window. And I find that when I'm drawing the design of a jacket, because I just did draw one, my first one, original, and it was an inspiration from East-West musical instruments jacket, but completely different. And as I'm drawing, I do like, if I'm drawing a line, I feel like, oh, this is a little bit of that or a little bit of that, and it makes me feel good. But I got to make sure that it's not a complete like
copy
rip.
Right.
It needs to have much more, like, definitely a lot more of me than my inspiration in it.
So I see it as a process. You're collecting a lot of information. You're learning about this genre, leather jackets. You're collecting the substrate, and then you see what emerges from that.
Yeah, I have no idea what's gonna come.
Right.
One thing I know for sure, it has to be completely my.
Yeah.
I have to be both feet in these designs.
Yeah.
I want it to be, even no matter how weird I'm gonna draw it, This is one of the best parts about being, you're not doing a commercial, this is not a commercial venture.
Right.
I get to literally do whatever the fuck I want, irrelevant of whether people are gonna like it, they're not gonna like it.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest, to me, that's the greatest place to be as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with painting. If you're gonna start painting, I just did a series of tractors, farmers and their tractors. I was pinned down to images that I had to paint, and I try to be as free with it as possible. But you're still pinned down. I had to make these people look like themselves a little bit.
Right.
And it takes away a little bit of fun or whatever the hell you want to call it from it. But when you're that free, the freedom that I have when I'm making these jackets,
Mm-hmm.
there's nothing better.
Yeah.
It's the ultimate fucking high without getting high.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Is this a good?
Yeah.
Are we there? Do you feel like we've covered everything?
I think that was good.
Yeah, I think we're good. So let's cheers to that.
Cheers.
Give me some water. I don't have anything to drink with here. All right, cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you for watching.